Hey everyone, we are back for a new episode of the New Worker TV, and today we will discuss the end of the resume. What inspire you that topic, Arnold?
Well, what inspires me is that actually that the resume is not working, that it only gives a it's like driving in your car and only looking in the rear view mirror.
Yeah.
Is you only look at what people have done in the past. Whereas if you want to hire a people either as a freelancer or
Employee.
as an employee, you you really want to know what does that person want to do in the coming few years, and what are his plans and what are his passions, and how would he or she like to contribute. So I cannot know that by only looking at the past, because maybe I look at something in the past and that person is totally fed up with it and says, well, I don't want to do that anymore, I want to do something different. I don't know. If I only look at the past, yeah, I don't know. So I think it's much more relevant to look in the future. At the same time, with the growth of social media and promoting yourself and branding yourself,
Yeah.
I think the resume, well, I'm not accusing people of lying, but everybody puts only in the resume the nice things and everything worked out fine and that make it look like that everything was perfect,
Mm-hmm.
which we all know is not the case. Nobody is perfect, and we all make mistakes, and we all have failures, and we all somehow have things which are not consistent.
True. Yeah.
But somehow I think the HR profession is also guilty in that, because they
Yeah.
looked for inconsistencies and they checked for, like, oh, there's 1 year you did nothing, or there was 6 months you, what was there, and it's like, oh, you first were in accounting and now you're in fashion design. What a crazy guy you are. So it's really the whole ecosystem, I think, frustrated the whole resume, that people
Yeah.
make up a certain story to look good and to get that thing. So yeah, so I think it misses to give you an honest picture of also the misses and the failures and experiment, which are even more important than your successes, because that's where you learn from. And what is totally missing, what I think, is who am I? Who am I as a person? Is like,
Mm-hmm.
what am I doing outside of work? What are my hobbies? What do I have a family? Where do I live? What do I like to do in my life? Yeah, that's just as important then,
Yeah.
because it, yes. So those parts are also missing. So I think it's very, very incomplete. Um, and then if we move into what we say, that what we have discussed in previous shows, where we said, well, it's likely that you will have a job somewhere for a year or a few months, and then you will have an
Mm-hmm.
assignment, then you will be a freelancer, then will be sharing economy. Even a resume is even not sufficient, and then we talk more about the portfolio. Maybe you can elaborate on that.
Yeah. Well, we know that there is the bring your own device or bring whatever you want these days. We could say bring your own projects or experimentations. Out loud. I mean, because that's what some designers or architects are doing these days. They're putting out there on a platform or mini platforms their projects, so people can click on the website, click on what they are currently working, what have failed to. So in that way, people can really have a feeling and see the results or even your failures through those projects. Because we are becoming really more and more contractors or moving from one employer to another one, and that's what they would love to see, right? You were talking about sharing or knowing more the potential of each people. Is about that too. It's through those projects or through those side projects that the people will really know what are your skill set, what are your life skills through that. So how about having more flexible portfolio that is in real time? I would say that that
Yeah,
one can build.
and that portfolio is not only for people who make physical things,
Yeah.
because that's easy, because then you can show some things, but it's also describing what you did. Yeah, so it's also for people who are more in service kind of activities,
Yeah.
or more in managerial roles, whatever, because there it's very hard to show a tangible thing. But still, you can describe the project you did. But again, it doesn't have to be a project which relates only to your work, because maybe outside of work you helped renovate the school of your children, or you are taking care of people in an elderly home, or you collected money for the Rotary for a project in Africa. All these things are also projects. So, and yeah, just as important as just your work project. So it's really, really opening up and widening the scope. Yeah, and that gives a picture of a person.
Yeah, absolutely. So where you are playing in different fields, your passions, and well, you have also, of course, other skill set and strengths through those projects. Yeah, that's it. And well, we are human in the end. So if you love art, if you love swimming like myself, or sport like yourself, and you have done some projects, share that too, because that's exciting too, right? It's not just about sharing business project, for instance.
Yeah, and as what we discussed also is like work life is totally blurring. It's just it's no longer 9 to 5 and whatever. It was already like 9 to 5, and we don't care what you do outside of it. It's totally blurring. So that means, hey, show an interest in what, how does the situation of the person at home or in his hobbies, whatever, look like? Because again, that gives a complete picture. We're not a limited person and say, I'm only doing work. Now, outside of work, we are mostly engaged in many different other things. What are those things? Because that gives me an idea of who you are.
Yeah, and that's what you will bring if you're involved in different teams or other projects with other people. Well, the way we hire are changing too, right? For HR people, but even for as a CEO or even other people, who will connect with you through a Skype conversation, but also in person, because they will look at that, I would say, more and more. Not just the resume, because in the end, it's just a piece of paper, right? You have to now prove yourself with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that will be the last word for that show this week. Stay tuned for another one on Monday, and have a great weekend, everyone. Bye-bye.